When Marnie Was There is one of the most frustrating films that Studio Ghibli has ever produced, but not because it's a poor adaptation of a highly respected piece of literature, or it's a film that has a lot of great ideas but didn't execute them in any way that felt exciting or engaging, or even because it's a cancerous piece of shit. No, the reason why this frustrates me so much is because, just like the director of this film's previous movie, The Secret World of Arrietty, this film had the recipe to be something great, but then completely dropped the ball. But unlike something like Arrietty, where it was kind of just mid from beginning to end, when Marnie Was There starts out great but then completely ruins everything that was established in the first 2 acts by having this shitty excuse of a twist ending / third act. The last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie is filled to the brim with what I like to call fake artificial sadness, but before I explain what that concept means, I first need to explain what exactly happens and why I feel the way I do. When Marnie Was There follows this 12-year-old girl named Anna who lives with her foster parents. After suffering from an asthma attack, Anna is sent off to live in the countryside with her foster mother's relatives, as she believes that the fresh air of the countryside will be good for her lungs. Now, whether countryside air is truly this magical medicine that can cure people of asthma and other respiratory illnesses in general remains a subject debate amongst scientists and Asian parents. But what is universally agreed upon amongst this reputable academic community is that countryside air does not seem to have any effect on depression and mental health. From the very first scene of When Marnie Was There, we see Anna suffering from a lot of self-esteem issues. She isolates herself from other kids her age, she is hesitant to show her sketches to her teacher, she's incredibly distant to her family members, and worst of all, she calls fat people fat. However, things start to get better for Anna when she meets a mysterious blonde girl named Marnie, and for the first 2/3 of the film, it's not entirely clear who or what she is. I mean, is she some sort of ghost, or zombie, or time traveler? We're not entirely sure, but for me, this wasn't something I gave that much of a shit about because the thing I actually cared about was Marnie's relationship with Anna. Arguably, the best thing this film accomplishes is establishing just how much both Anna and Marnie's lives run parallel with each other. While Marnie at first seems like this carefree, enthusiastic, and kind child who is always down to go on picnics, or rowboat in the middle of the night, or dance with her tomboy anime waifu, it's very apparent that she's not being 100% transparent and that her life isn't as perfect and happy as she claims it is. Initially, Anna chooses to ignore all these red flags because, frankly, Marnie's the only person Anna has been able to connect with on a deep and emotional level. But at a certain point, it's clear she wants to learn more about this mysterious girl. One of my favorite scenes in the entire film is when Anna and Marnie take a walk through the forest and essentially unload all the emotional baggage that they've been holding together. Anna tells Marnie about the time she found documents that reveal that her foster parents have been paid good money to take care of her, which caused her to believe that they never loved her in the first place and just pretend to for the money. As Anna breaks down crying, Marnie embraces her and thanks her for being brave enough to tell her this. In turn, Marnie unveils her own backstory, admitting that because her parents were always traveling, she was forced to stay behind with a cruel nanny who made her life a living hell, and a group of maids who would constantly tease her and do awful shit to her. It's a sweet and powerful moment that not only feels like a satisfying payoff to everything that the film initially set up and all the emotions that the characters were grappling with, but it also serves as a great transition to another one of my favorite moments in the film, the silo scene. In this scene, Marnie is stuck in a spooky silo. She's scared shitless and she's crying out for someone to help her, so Anna rushes towards the silo to naturally protect her. However, Marnie soon abandons Anna after Marnie's childhood friend and future husband, Kazuhiko, comforts Marnie, and together they leave the silo, leaving Anna with nothing more than a high fever and a broken heart. Anna is so hurt by Marnie's betrayal that she plans on never forgiving her, the same promise she made towards her biological parents, and that's what Anna planned on doing when she returned to the mansion. But when Marnie tells her that she's sorry for leaving her and that she can't see her anymore, Anna starts breaking down. She tells Marnie that she loves her and forgives her, and Marnie reciprocates those feelings. It's a beautiful moment, and had the film ended at this point with maybe a little epilogue afterwards, I genuinely think this could have been in contention to be one of the best films that Studio Ghibli has ever produced. But unfortunately, rather than doing the logical thing I said, this film instead decides to keep going and add in an extra 20 to 30 minutes of bullshit and a twist ending so shitty and so fucking manipulative that it genuinely ruined the entire experience for me. So right after Anna recovers and has that powerful final goodbye with Marnie, this old painting hag decided to just dump truck Marnie's entire fucking life story to Anna. And what's truly awful about this scene is that the only reason why she's avalanching this unnecessarily long and completely pointless backstory is to artificially create this twist reveal that the reason Anna knew Marnie so well is because they were actually related the whole time. No way! Who needs ambiguity and leaving things up to audiences' interpretation when you could just spell out the entire fucking subtext like I'm 5 fucking years old. Now, I had forgotten this twist ending because admittedly I hadn't seen this movie since I was like 14, so naturally when I rewatched this film and got to this moment, this was my only reaction.
Someone wants to know what the fuck you were thinking. What the fuck was going through your head? What did you think was gonna happen? Are you just a fucking idiot? Do you just not think? What the fuck were you thinking?
There are so many things that I genuinely dislike about this twist that if I had the time and energy, I could make an entire 30-minute video about just the ending alone, as I have that many complaints. But for the sake of this video, I'm primarily going to focus on what I think is the worst offender, and it's that this ending is not only unearned and conveniently wraps up the film in a cheap, shitty bow, but it also dilutes and babyifies the complex themes this movie introduced about loneliness and self-worth to such an extent that it made all the emotions I was feeling about this film up until that point feel fake and artificial. Remember when I brought up how the last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie was filled to the brim with fake artificial sadness? As you can probably guess, this is a term that I created whenever a movie grinds to a screeching halt to avalanche you with such sad shit to force you to either cry or feel sad. But because it's so artificial and inauthentic, the emotions you're feeling at that moment never feel real, nor do they feel earned. These moments feel sad and depressing because they were genetically designed in a factory by phonies and hacks to create the saddest shit imaginable, but never once stopped to think if it felt appropriate or warranted within the context of the film itself. This is something a lot of the recent Pixar and DreamWorks movies have been shoving down our throats, but this is also common in like Oscar bait dog shit, laughably pathetic indie films, and overrated mediocrity. Anyway, bringing this back to when Marnie was there, this entire twist/life story that this old lady won't shut up about is loaded with fake artificial sadness because she bombards you with sad shit after sad shit to the point that I don't feel any real genuine emotion from this scene. Oh my god, wasn't it so sad that Marnie was abused and her husband died and went to a sanatorium to cope said death and her daughter hated her forever after being abandoned and ran away to have a child and died in a car accident and Marnie dying herself shortly after adopting Anna? Like, fuck, what is this? What happened to the slow build-up and real authentic dialogue that the characters are having about depression and loneliness and self-esteem that I could connect with? It was as if the director was so afraid that kids and I guess dumbass adults wouldn't understand 1000% what he was going for that he tried to overcompensate by over-explaining everything and making sure that you feel exactly what he wants you to feel. It genuinely feels like the movie is rubbing in my face how fucking sad it is and screaming in my ear, look how sad this is, aren't you sad? This is super sad, you better feel sad. See, look at how the characters are crying because of how sad it is. And what's really frustrating about all this fake artificial sadness is that this might be the only Ghibli film where I feel this way about it ending. When you look at other Studio Ghibli films with sad endings like The Tale of Princess Kaguya, or The Wind Rises, or Grave of the Fireflies, or even bittersweet Ghibli endings like Porco Rosso, Only Yesterday, or Princess Mononoke, you never once feel like you're being pandered to, or the team behind these movies are being emotionally manipulative. These endings are amazingly executed because not only are they incredibly well presented and coordinated, but they also feel like natural conclusions to what their respective films set up. These movies don't tell you how to feel, nor do they give you a straightforward answer. They simply present their narratives and allow audiences to come up with their own conclusions about what they've just seen. And what's so fucking frustrating is that it felt like when Marnie Was There was moving in the same direction as all those other films I mentioned. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I really liked the first 2/3 of this movie. They were pretty great, and had it ended exactly at the moment in which Anna decides to forgive Marnie for abandoning her, it would have served as a natural conclusion to both characters' arcs, while also hitting that bittersweet sadness the director so clearly wanted to communicate. The movie was doing great up until that point, and had it just ended there with a little epilogue afterwards, I can consider this film to be up there with the other greats of Ghibli's filmography. But then the director just couldn't fucking help himself and rammed this shitty third act twist ending where the film suddenly went from being a thoughtful and mature take on loneliness and self-esteem to a PBS Kids educational PSA where I'm treated like I'm 5 years old. This ending is baby time bullshit that pissed me off so much that it genuinely ruined the film for me, and I do not appreciate it. When I'm watching a movie or show about subject matter like this, I want to genuinely feel sad, not be told to feel sad with fakeness and artificiality. Anyway, I'm done. If you watch this video but you haven't watched the movie for some reason, then may I suggest other anime that accomplish the very thing this film thinks it's accomplishing, like a A Silent Voice, ReZero, Sunny Boy, Neon Genesis Evangelion, or the other Ghibli films I brought up in this video. There are some things about When Marnie Was There that I do find admirable, but ultimately the ending was so awful that I probably won't be revisiting this movie anytime soon. Thank you, and goodbye.